All right. Welcome, everybody. Wow, we have a great little group here today. I'm so grateful that you're here. This is another episode of the Integrative Wellness and Development podcast. And I am your host, Mike DeLuca. And I am extremely grateful that you are all here tonight. And we have a really exciting topic. As I said earlier, I've been researching this for many years. And before I get started with all of that, we have to, do our disclaimers. So this podcast is a part of my organization, Integrative Wellness and Development. We are focused on learning about and sharing information about integrative health and wellness, personal development, and from time to time, things that cross into the spiritual. But I am not, this program is not affiliated with any one organization, group, religion, path, theology, thought system. We have people who will be attending from all walks of life and all beliefs. I also do not set myself up as a teacher, guru, master. I am just a curious person who loves to research and loves to share what I learn with folks who are interested. And also, I've mentioned that I record these podcasts, and we have almost 200 podcasts recorded over the last 6 years. And I'm recording them all so that my little granddaughter, who's not quite two, and any grandchildren and great grandchildren who come after that, when I leave the planet and they wonder what are the crazy things that crazy grandpa did, they'll be able to go and watch videos and maybe learn something. I'm certainly learning so much. So that's who I am. That's what this is, and that's what we're doing. And I think it's time we're going to just dive right in to the subject for tonight. And the subject is one that I am very, very excited about. And tonight's topic is understanding and honoring your soul contracts. And this has fascinated me for so long. And I'll give a quick definition and then we're going to go deeper into what we're going to be covering tonight. This is a 2-hour workshop if you choose to join us and stay with us. If you can't stay with us the whole time, that's okay. If you can always come back and watch it on my Facebook page, or you can come back and watch it, and you can watch it on my YouTube channel. So with that, let's get started. Okay, quick definition. Soul contracts represent spiritual agreements made before birth, outlining essential lessons and experiences. These sacred documents symbolize the interconnectedness of souls, guiding individuals through their journeys. By understanding these contracts, we can gain deeper insight into our purpose, relationships, and the profound lessons we are meant to learn in this lifetime. And this definition so intrigued me because I found it really, really, really empowering. Throughout my life, I've had situations come up and I wonder, why did this come up? Why did this thing end? Or why did this relationship end? Or why did I have such difficulty with this thing or that thing? And so I really started to research more and more about this. And I found out that very little happens to us that we do not actually have a hand in creating and negotiating in order for us to grow from. If you subscribe to the idea that time is an illusion and that past, present, future are all one continuum, and if you buy into the concept that I'll be using tonight, and that is prior to even entering into this lifetime, this body, that we have had a great deal of time and a great deal of guidance with inner guidance, teachers, guides, masters, whatever you want to call them, angels, to help us plan the best set of experiences for us to gain the greatest amount of learning. And learning is not necessarily always convenient, enjoyable, happy, but it is always something that creates unfoldment and growth. So let's start out with just, a little quick contemplation of let's close your eyes, relax, take a few deep breaths, and recognize that this space that we are in tonight is a space of empowerment, is a space of discovery. It is not a space of judgment. You are here to remember your higher self, soul's wisdom, and the choices you have made to be cause in your life and to create opportunities for growth, unfoldment, and greater realization. So just let that sink in for a moment. That's why we're here, right? We are soul. We are eternal. We have the ability to create in harmony with the divine our life, our future, our destiny. And we agree with other souls to interact in order that we mutually grow through these interactions. So I'm going to ask you as you contemplate, recognize for a moment, what was the contract or reason you made that brought you here today to this workshop, right? What did you make an agreement with that if you came here, you would come away with something specific? Focus on that for a moment. What do you hope to gain from this? And commit to coming away tonight with that goal. And then finally, what are you ready to release? A pattern, an old contract, an old agreement that is no longer serving you. What are you willing to release in order to move forward? And focus on that for a moment. Okay. And I hope you brought some paper and a writing instrument. And in just a moment, I'm going to read a quote. Thank you for your patience. Somebody was having a problem finding the link to the workshop, so I wanted to help them out. And here we go. All right. I'm going to share with you a quote from Rumi, and this is from a book from a dear friend of mine, Doug Marmon. The book is called It Is What It Is, and it's about the sacred teachings of Rumi. And here's the quote: "There is one thing in this world you must never forget to do. If you forget everything else and not this, then there's nothing to worry about. But if you remember everything else and forget this, then you will have done nothing in your life. It's as if a king had sent you to some country to do a task, and you perform 100 other services, but not the one he sent you to do. So human beings come into this world to do particular work. That work is the purpose, and each is specific to that person. And so I really believe that Rumi was talking about these soul contracts or soul agreements we make with the divine, with our higher self, and we're going to talk about that, and with those teachers, guides, masters, individuals whose job it is to help tutor us and help us steer in the right direction for maximum growth. And regardless of what belief system you have, it's really in every single religion, philosophy, belief system that prior to entering into this body or this lifetime, we existed as a conscious being and have had and have the help of higher wisdom and to guide us. Um, so some of the things we're going to talk about tonight, what are soul contracts? We talked a little bit about that in the introduction. What soul contract did you agree to prior being born in this lifetime? Who do you have soul contracts with? And how can you fulfill those contracts? Or how can you change them or end them or edit them, right? Contracts can be changed. So some more definitions about what are soul contracts. Okay. Soul contracts are agreements made before birth with our higher self, other souls, spiritual guides, and divine spirit itself. They create scenarios for growth, healing, karmic resolution, and mastery. These include relationships, challenges, gifts, life themes, and destiny paths. And contracts can evolve, be updated, or renegotiated through free will. Okay. Why do we create soul contracts? What's the purpose of them? Well, the overriding purpose of these contracts are to assist us in our spiritual growth and the spiritual growth of other souls that we are interacting with. And that's the beautiful thing about personal and spiritual growth. When we grow, it's always in some sort of interaction with another force, another individual, and both individuals or groups of individuals grow when we grow. Another reason for these contracts is we make agreements that we are going to face situations, troubling, traumatic, challenging situations that have their roots maybe in a past life or roots in an early past that have created trauma and emotional blockage. So we've made contracts to face those situations, and we've made contracts with individuals to help us do that. Soul contracts also help to give us experiences of the dualities of life. This is how we learn, through experiencing the dualities, the polarities. We must experience and understand and work in harmony with the dualities of love versus power. We must understand the dualities of kindness versus cruelty. We must understand the difference between control and power and empowerment, both self-empowerment and the empowerment of others. The other thing that soul contracts do is they help us reclaim. This is really interesting. They help us reclaim soul fragments, right? These are fragments of soul energy that are trapped in past experiences. And it's kind of why we get stuck and kind of often in a situation we're just going round and round like a hamster wheel, because a part of us, even though we've left that situation behind, we haven't completely disengaged with it. We left We left a little piece of us there, right? If you've ever broken up from a relationship and you wind up leaving some of your stuff in the closet, right? Maybe it was an accident, maybe it wasn't, sometimes you just can't let go. This is an opportunity with some of the techniques we're going to use tonight to reclaim those fragments, pull them out of the past, and put them back into the present soul and help release our connection with those situations. Okay. Okay. Other reasons we create soul contracts to provide clarity during difficult life experiences. And this is so important. When we begin to examine the soul contracts that we've created and have entered into this life with, that removes the victim consciousness. And I tell you, this year I've been experiencing so much of this. I've really, because of this workshop, I've really focused on what are some of the attachments, what are some of the judgments I was making about other people, things that people did to me, situations that happened to me. And when I understood and actually had inner experiences that I did have a contract with these people and that I actually was learning and benefiting from it and gaining more freedom from it. Once I released my attachments and my anger and my resentment, when I let it all go, I was able to end the contract and give those individuals freedom to be who they are and what they're doing. May the, let it be. But also, I was sending love to them and gratitude that they had contributed to my growth, right? And we are all doing that, whether we do it consciously or not. The purpose of this workshop is to help us all do it more consciously, okay? Soul contracts also reveal deeper meaning behind relationships, you know, um, help us understand why we're together with someone, or help us understand why do I keep getting with the same someone or the same type of someone and keep having the same challenges over and over again, right? There might be some unresolved contracts there. They help us dissolve guilt, shame, and confusion. This is really important. There are there are times in our life when we're going to make decisions and they're not going to be the best ones or they don't turn out the best. And we judge them and we judge ourselves. But when we understand that they are part of a soul contract of mutual learning, then there is no real, damage. There is no real horrific mistake. And there is no need for guilt or shame. And there is no need to be confused about, you know, why did this happen? Right? Because we're really moving into the realm of empowerment to where we understand we have a role in making things happen in our life. And I've always, when I was raising my two sons, I would always ask them when they were in a situation, and I would ask them, who do you want to be? Do you want to be the person who just watches things happen to themselves and others, right? Or do you want to be the person who makes things happen and recognizes you are making things happen? Or do you want to be the one who's always like, what the heck just happened? Right? Who do you want to be? Well, when we explore our soul contracts, we get more and more into being the person who makes things happen because we're doing it by taking responsibility and empowering ourselves. And we're also recognizing that everything that happens eventually helps us and someone else. So, and then finally, we have soul contracts to empower conscious choice and alignment with our own personal life mission. Okay, so we're going to do an exercise now. And I'd like for you to take the time to write your answers down And the exercise is this. Um, we're going to be looking at some recurring life themes. So take a look, you obviously came here tonight with some things in mind you wanted to learn. Maybe there are some situations in your life you're wanting to maybe illuminate a little bit. But let's take a look for a moment in your life and let's look at a recurring life theme, right? Something that just keeps happening over and over again. And you wonder why. Have I not learned from it, or am I causing it, or whatever? Just for a moment, just write down what are a couple of these things that keep coming up over and over again, right? So write that first thing down. Then I want you to be aware of what emotional or emotionally charged patterns are involved in the repeating this theme in your life. Because there's a clue there of why we're having this recurring theme due to the emotional charge pattern that's connected with it. And again, tonight is not therapy. This workshop and my presentations always, they are not here to diagnose, treat, or prevent any illnesses. They are not for therapy to change and cure any challenges that you're having. They are simply here for education and to put a spotlight on certain things that are in your life that we can all learn from. Okay, so what emotional or emotionally charged patterns do you find repeating in your life? Take a moment, write down just a couple. Don't judge them, don't overthink them. Just you know who you are and you know what you are and you know what they are. Okay, and we're not going to share these with anybody, but just take the time to write them down. Okay. So that's one type of soul contract that we find popping up in our lives, and that's those recurring themes that have emotional energy tied to them. Okay, the next type of soul contract we're going to find in the key relationships in our lives. Okay, we have employment contracts, we have marriage contracts, we have all kinds of legal contracts, we have leases we sign, we have all kinds of agreements, but the relationships that we are in currently or have been in the past, we've actually set up contracts prior to even coming into this life to interact with those individuals. And those contracts we've created actually energetically pull us together in order to mutually assist each other in our learning. So I'm going to ask you a question about some key relationships. Number one, just think about someone who has shaped you the most positively. Right? Who's had an inspiring influence on your life that was very positive, uplifting? Um, just think of somebody and list them as someone who shaped you the most positively. Now think about who has shaped you the most painfully. These tend to be contracts that we spend a lot of time connecting and reconnecting with. But what's so empowering is when we look at that person who shaped you the most painfully, right? Maybe under your breath you curse them for what they did or what they said or how they treated you or the effects they had on you. But what if you look at them now through the eyes of a soul contract and you recognize, wait a minute, it may have been painful, but it created a tremendous amount of growth for me. It actually helped me become more of the person I wanted to be. It helped me go into a direction that I really wanted to go, but never kind of lit the fire under the fuse to make that really happen. So think about that for a moment and write it down. Another type of soul contract, core lessons. These are lessons that are extremely important to living the kind of life we want to live, making the kind of personal and spiritual progress we're trying to make. But they keep showing up until we finally pay attention and work on them, right? And this is important. We have all kinds of contracts out there, but some of them we either don't recognize at first, we don't pay attention to them, or we ignore them, or we avoid them, right? But they're going to keep showing up. And so when that happens, then that's a good idea to look at, go into, meditation or contemplation, look at the situation, maybe look at the individual and sit down with them and say, hey, what was our contract and what do I need to do to fulfill my obligation to you and what, and can I ask you to do to help fulfill your obligation to me? I've done this and I've had incredible results. Incredible results. So think about that for a moment. What keeps popping up until you finally pay attention? There's a contract in there. This is a big one. We always hear the statement that life or other people do not things do not do things to you, they do things for you. And this is so true because when we take the time to look through a higher perspective with things that we have struggled with, we found that there were incredible strengths and talents that were developed because of it. And I'm a living example of someone who experienced losing everything and being homeless and living on the street in a very dangerous area. And I will often tell people it was one of the most valuable times in my life, and I wouldn't have traded it away because I learned so much. I became so much more aware, more independent, more cause in my life, and a much more grateful person and a much more compassionate and generous person because of that. So, what about you? What strengths and talents were born from some of your hardest experiences? They are part of a soul contract that you made before you entered this life. Okay, the next part of mapping soul contracts. What experiences have you had, right? Or what do you find most rewarding when you apply your passions, your interests, your talents, your skills? What's the most rewarding part of that? Because that will give you an idea about a life purpose contract that you made for entering into this life. And then how can you channel that into bringing value into the lives of others? And I often share this experience. Um, when I was in elementary school, I think it was like third grade. I was overweight. I was sort of a nerdy kid. I had a problem with my feet, so I had to wear special shoes, and I was really shy. Did not speak much and was teased a lot. And I could have gone the route of continuing in that direction and have it really rob me of making any kind of real impact on life or any real progress in my life. But I had a dream one night, and in the dream, I was in my classroom. And in my classroom, I heard thousands of people talking and laughing outside the big window we had in the classroom. So I walked up to the big window and I looked out, and I looked out at all those people. And at first I was terrified, but then something came over me and I sat on the ledge and threw my feet over the ledge. And I sat there and looked at these thousands of people. And I started speaking to them from my heart. And I started telling them stories about my life, my past, my present, my future. And I saw them intently listening. I saw them laughing when it was funny. I saw them crying when it was touching. And I felt myself connect with a part of myself that I had not connected with that entire time in my life, right? And it was so powerful that when I woke up the next morning, I was a different kid. When I went to class, I was talking to kids. I was telling people how pretty they looked or how handsome they looked or how much I liked their clothes. Um, when somebody was picking on somebody else, I stepped in and said, "Hey, you really don't want to do that. How would you like it if someone did that to you?" And I started raising my hand and answering things in class. This is stuff I did not do, but that dream connected me with a soul contract coming into my lifetime that I would need to let go of all of the things that were causing me to be introverted and reconnect with and reclaim my destiny. And it's really interesting because many years later, I found myself giving a talk as a main speaker in Nigeria. And there were like 8,000 people there. And as I was speaking to them and singing to them, I looked out over the audience and I realized that that was the audience I was looking out the window through when I was in third grade. And the only reason I was able to be there to 8,000 people speaking was because I embraced the opportunity to fulfill that contract and pour everything I had over the years to develop my abilities and my capabilities and my interests and talents to speak and sing and share and lead workshops, not for me, not for my ego, but to make an impact and create value into other people's lives. And that's why I'm here tonight. Not selling anything, not asking you to believe anything I say. I'm doing it because I'm fulfilling a contract with you, as well as with life, with spirit, and myself. So, how can you channel the things that you bring to the table, your interests, your passions, your skills? How can you take another step forward, right? And channel that into bringing value into the lives of others? Because if you can determine that, you will actually be recognizing a contract that you made coming into this life, or you would not have had those interest, skills, and talents. You're bringing them here for the purpose of fulfilling a contract. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's take a moment after you've written that stuff down. Take a moment, and I would really like to look into the chat there and have you put into the chat so everybody can see what major insight about soul contracts did you gain from this discussion over the last 30 minutes? Okay. Was it a value to you? What points really shined for you? Put it in the chat so we can all share each other. And you know how to open the chat. If you look down on the bottom of Zoom there, there's a little button, little thing that says chat. You click on that. Click on message everyone, and you can put that in the chat. And while you're doing that, maybe maybe let me take just one or two people. I'm going to ask if you would have a contract with me to just share in one sentence. Okay, this is going to require discipline because we don't have time for everyone to give a Gettysburg Address or a valedictorian speech. But if you could share in one sentence, you can raise your golden hand and I'll pick on you. And we can listen to what that one thing that really shone. So raise your golden hand and I'll pick you. Any takers? Or maybe you're still writing. Okay. All right. Maybe you're still writing. That's okay. All right, we'll move on. We have lots to do here. So I will move on, get back to the PowerPoint.
It says that the host disabled chat, group chat.
Okay. Sorry about that. What we'll do is I'll give you a chance if you want to raise your hand. If not, just keep those in your notes and we will move on. Here's one. Chelsea! Hello, Chelsea.
Hi there.
Hey there. Thanks for coming and raising your hand. What's in one sentence? What did you get so far?
How about two half sentences? So, one of the things was discovering my life purpose,
Nice.
and that is to bring healing through transformation. I'm still struggling with what the painful lesson is to learn
Okay.
from my sister.
Okay. Isn't it great? Isn't it great that we have the people we need to learn from are right there with us? And that's also, if you look up karma, the definition of karma in a dictionary, it will say see family. Best ways of working it out or having it. Okay, thank you for that, Chelsea. Carol, you have to unmute yourself. You have to unmute yourself. Yeah, click your audio button down there, your little microphone. There's probably a little there you go.
Sorry, I was trying to do it on my face, on my thing. Anyways, the most painful relationship was with my stepfather, but I realized that it was a great thing because it made me do certain things,
Yep,
made my life much better.
great. That's great. That's what we're looking for in the workshop, or for these understandings to pop up and realize the benefit and the fact that we made a contract with that soul, to help us. And so that removes the victim consciousness and it opens our hearts to gratitude and also to see every single being that we interact with, including the people, everybody that's out there in the world doing horrendous things. We have a contract with them. They are creating effect and they are creating learning opportunities. So no matter what people are, what they're doing, how horrendous what they're doing, everything is part of a contract to create opportunities for learning and growing. That's why we're all here, right? We're not here to have unicorns and fairy dust and, Skittles. We're here to learn, to grow, and to help each other grow. So great. We're gonna move on here because we got lots to do. Kenny T will pick you up in the next session. All right, lots to do here. Okay. All right, we talked about that, right? That, we talked about that, we talked about that. Okay. Now we're moving into the relationship between soul contracts and karmic loops. So we're getting into a little more now about how our relationships with other people are part of a contract. And so we have some categories of these karmic loops, these situations where things go round and round and round. And one of these types of karmic loops are companion contracts. Okay, so when we have a companion contract with another soul, that leads to new or deepening relationships of love, support, stability, and growth, right? And again, as we looked at earlier, sometimes it's a positive situation that we are involved with a companion that creates love, support, stability, and growth, or sometimes it's a challenging one that eventually will lead to love, support, stability, and growth. Okay. So we write that down, and after the workshop, when you are, because you're going to have homework to take all of this stuff and actually apply it, but you're going to find you're going to have all kinds of contracts with companions, people, family, spouses, partners, that you'll find as you examine those contracts a deeper understanding of how to benefit from them and help the other person benefit from them just by putting attention on them and honoring them. Teacher-student contracts, okay? These result in the exchange of wisdom and inspiration for forward momentum in each other's spiritual growth, personal and spiritual growth, okay? And this is important because we all move in and out of being the teacher and the student to each other, right? We're all kind of on equal ground here in a contract, and we're all trying to assist each other, and we're going to learn from each other. And sometimes one person is the teacher for a particular situation, and we're the student, and sometimes we're the teacher and they're the student, but the result is it's a win-win. And nobody is above or below anybody. Okay. And then mirror contracts. These are contracts that we have and I've had a bunch of these where I'll have a situation in a contract with a job or with a person, and that serves as a mirror that when I look into the mirror, I either see my shadow self, in other words, the contract I had with this other person or situation helped me understand some of my darker sides, some of my weaknesses, some of the areas that I needed to bring more wisdom, more love, more compassion into, more freedom into it, right? But also, like tonight, we have a contract with each other to where we are showing each other our higher self and our potential for greater growth. Okay. Other types of karmic loops. Kind of traditional karmic contracts. These are contracts we have with each other to where we actually have agreed to work out a contract, because karma is a contract of an experience we are contracting to have and learn from. And a karmic contract, These are contracts that resolve in early life or past life imbalances or incomplete agreements or incomplete lessons. And you'll know it when you see it, right? And this is what's so wonderful about it, in that we have the opportunity to work out the learning lessons. And again, what I love about this particular viewpoint is karma. It removes the whole idea about karma being sin, karma being something we screwed up or did something to someone, and now we have to have someone do it to us to pay, the price for. Get rid of all of that and look at karmic contracts as those which are helping us resolve imbalances or incomplete agreements or things we have attempted to learn but did not, or should have learned and did not, right? This is very empowering, because then karma can be resolved by either meeting the contract with that person or renegotiating it. Or if you have worked out everything there is to work out, end it. Sometimes a contract is over when you have worked and recognized, I'm done here. I've done everything I need to do. I've learned what I need to learn, and I'm done with that. You'll know because you have help from your guides and your teachers and your higher self. And also, you'll know because when it's done, it's done. You'll see that it's done. Okay. Healing contracts. This is a karmic loop. Healing contracts. These are contracts that work to help us repair physical, emotional, or generational wounds. Okay, and this is really interesting because I have a family member who had a branch of their family that 80% of that branch was lost in the Nazi concentration camps during World War II. And the torture and the agony and the fear that they went through, this individual was having nightmares in this life, even though they personally were not there, but they were carrying generational karma, generational fear and emotional trauma that was passed on to them. And they needed to work that out. And so they had a contract to experience what some of their relatives were experiencing. And that led them to eventually working that experience out. Okay. So that's a healing contract. Or you might have a physical condition that is there to teach you something, and then you have a karmic contract with someone who's going to help you resolve that, but you're going to do it in a way to where you're going to move forward and progress because of it, and bring value to other people because of it, if you're really aware of the contract and honor it. And then I like this idea of catalyst contracts. Okay. These are contracts that trigger, right? They trigger events, they trigger inner awakenings, and they trigger decisions that will cause us to do things that will lead us to making higher and more greater momentum and higher progress, greater progress in our lives. Okay, so oftentimes we have a contract where somebody acts as the trigger, and that's all their contract is with us. They're the one who like pinches you or just calls your attention to something, and it creates a reaction, and that was their job. The reaction and what you did with it was really what your part of the contract was, and then how you were going to learn from that. Okay, so that's a catalyst contract. Okay, so some indications about what is a karmic loop, right? What are we getting into that is a karmic loop? that probably represents a contract with something that we need to fulfill and haven't done so, right? So these are some characteristics of a karmic loop to call our attention to a contract that needs to have attention and needs to have work on you and yourself and others involved. So indicators, one, is there a really strong emotional charge involved in this situation? The stronger the emotional charge, the more you know, yeah, there's karma involved in here, right? There's something that needs to be focused on and resolved, and it might be more than just me, right? Another is a repetitive pattern. Why do I continue to be with this type of person? Why do I continue to have this type of health challenge? Why do I continue to have this type of situation with work or money or, it just, you're going in a loop. You're on a hamster wheel and it keeps coming back, right? By calling attention to that, focusing it, taking it into contemplation, asking your higher self and your inner guidance to take a look at what's the contract involved with this that I signed, and what do I need to learn from it so I can resolve it. Likewise, situations where we're feeling so stuck we can't dig ourselves out of it, right? That's really an indication there's a karmic loop in there, and there's a contract there that needs to have attention placed on it and has an opportunity to free us into a higher state of freedom and consciousness if we look at why do you feel stuck? What led you to being stuck? And what options, just for a moment, think about what are all the possibilities of options that might be out there to help you get unstuck. And then ask for help, and you'll find answers in your contemplation, your dreams, your guidance. But being stuck is an indication that there's a contract there that needs to be resolved. A strong attraction, an overwhelming attraction, or an overwhelming repulsion. Those are real clear indicators. There's a karmic loop there. There's a situation here with a contract and an opportunity for us to put our attention on that strong attraction or that strong repulsion. There's something to learn from, balance, and create the opportunity of greater freedom. Okay. And then there are synchronicities, right? Synchronicities. You keep bumping into this person, or this opportunity keeps coming to you. You didn't take advantage before, it comes back again. You say, well, the person calls you up when you're thinking of them. All of these synchronicities, which are no accident. There are no accidents. Everything has a place in our life and development. And it just is a matter of, do we put our attention on it? Do we work with it? Do we learn from it? And do we resolve it? Okay. This was another fascinating thing. And I've studied now probably over 200 transcripts of people's experiences who had near-death experiences or who had past life regression into a life between lives. I've had my own experiences with that. And every single one I read, and these are people from all different spiritual backgrounds, some with no spiritual background, no religious background, and every single one of these had the experience of understanding that we all are part of soul families or soul groups or soul pods. And we travel together across lifetimes to assist each other in our personal and spiritual development. And just like Earth families, family members can be pleasant and wonderful and enjoyable, or they can be challenging, but everything we do and interact with each other in that soul family. And it's not just a family like the family you have here on earth. These are people we've been traveling lifetimes, and we may not be in the physical with them right now. They may still be in the inner worlds, but we're interacting with them because we exist simultaneously here in the physical and also in the inner worlds. So we are having interactions with people physically. We're having all kinds of interactions with people spiritually. And we're all part of this pod that was created at the same time out of the heart of the Creator and found ourselves in the same track. Maybe we're on Earth together, or maybe we're in another planetary system together, or another dimension together, or another, part of the heavens together. It all depends on, the qualities of you as soul and how you were programmed. We're actually going to have another workshop later on in the year talking more about this whole thing. Another idea about soul groups and soul contracts. Karmic contracts involve mutual growth and exchange of wisdom, talents, and skills. So, people in your soul group are people who contribute in some way, shape, or form to mutual growth and exchange. So, those people who have really contributed to you, exchanging wisdom and talents and skills that you've really benefited from and have moved forward in life because of. Good indication that they're part of that soul group that you travel with and have a contract with to help each other. Okay. Another type of soul group, big karma creators. Okay. When we are born into the world and into a family or a community, when we marry a person or into a family or a community, when we die, or when we cause the death of someone, these are major soul agreements, right? And but they are contracts. And I'll give you a quick story, a couple of quick stories I had. I had the opportunity to experience the choice that I had coming into this life. I had the opportunity to be born, same family, but a year prior to my birth date in this life. And I was shown if I took that body at that time, the child would have been tremendously damaged, would have all kinds of health challenges, would live an excruciatingly painful life. It would be absolute torture from the parents, the family. But I would have been given the opportunity to burn off a tremendous amount of karma and cancel a bunch of contracts in a very short time, like within weeks, months. Or if I waited a year, I would have the opportunity to enter into this life conscious of my purpose in life and conscious of the contracts that I had made to have the greater amount of spiritual unfoldment over a longer period of time and assist others in helping them and others grow spiritually. And so I chose the second choice and then watched as that child's body, by not taking that body, I watched the head was crushed in the birth canal and it was strangled by the placenta and it struggled on the delivery table and then it expired without a soul in it. And what was interesting, my mom, who's a very religious, Catholic, she said, something strange, they never brought the body of the baby to me, and I didn't want it. I actually never went to the funeral, the burial, never visited the grave. She said, but I felt in my heart that you were the soul that was supposed to be that baby, and that you came a year later and it was you. And so I didn't have to mourn, right? And I didn't have to feel the guilt and the anger, right? And all of that. Isn't that something? You know? So we're given the opportunity with the Creator itself, with Spirit, with our guides, and our higher self to make contracts where our birth, our marriages, our strengths, our conquerings and successes, and our failures, and finally our deaths all have a major opportunity to help others unfold. It's really pretty amazing. So these soul group mates, right, or soul family members, they include friends, siblings, co-workers, neighbors, and challengers, people who create challenges for ourselves, right? I think it's all of that is in there. Okay, enough of my yapping. Let's do another exercise. And this is called the Soul Contract Timeline Journey. So the purpose of this is to uncover the origin of a soul contract. Second, to locate the moment the contract began. And third, to retrieve any soul fragment energy that is still being held there. All right, this is an interesting concept. Sometimes we leave a piece of our energy behind in a situation because we had so much emotional attachment to it, or we were so affected by it that part of us just could not separate from it. We couldn't let go of it, right? And the part that causes us to be stuck with that contract is we've left a little piece of our souls, right? You know, like you said, I had this relationship and it broke up, and I gave that person a piece of my heart and never got it back, you know? You really did. You know, there really is soul energy that we can leave behind in a situation. But this exercise is the sample of an exercise we can do to go back on the timeline, resolve the contract, retrieve the fragment, soul fragment energy, and put it back to have more wholeness. So let's do that. Let's take a moment. I invite you to close your eyes. Do a little box breathing here. You're going to breathe in for 4 seconds. And each time you do these things mentally, sing inwardly your favorite charged word or mantra, you know, whatever that is for you and your path or your teaching. So you're going to breathe in for 4 seconds and silently sing your favorite mantra. You hold for 4 seconds and silently sing your mantra. Breathe out for 4 seconds, silently sing your mantra. Hold for 4 seconds and silently sing your mantra. Then breathe in and continue to breathe. Real important, you got to breathe. All right, so let's do that just for a little bit. Get yourself grounded. Stay with your eyes closed because I'm going to take you through a little exercise. And just connect with your breathing, relax. Stay connected to that sound. And because time is a continuous pattern where the past, the present, and the future are all connected, take a moment to visualize a glowing golden path, like a yellow brick road, you know, that stretches out from birth in this lifetime all the way to this present moment in time. Okay? See yourself standing here in the present and looking back, all the way back to that moment of birth in this life. Now see yourself suddenly there at the starting point at birth. Now you're at that point on the timeline. And now you're going to be moving forward towards the present, but slowly walk from birth, slowly walk through your childhood, and slowly walk through young adulthood until you reach a moment where a very discernible pattern began. You're going to know you're walking along and all of a sudden a situation or a memory pops up and there was one of those karmic patterns, right? So when you get to that time in your life and it pops up, stop. It might be a relationship, right? That's karmic. It might be something that happened, an incident, a wound that may have changed the course of your decision making in your life. Walk that yellow brick road, that golden road, until one of these things pops up. And then stand there for a moment. Now notice, where were you? Who was involved in that situation? What happened? What emotions, what strong emotions were present as a result of that situation? And then become aware of what you as soul were trying to learn from that situation. It'll come right to you if you don't already know it. Just take a moment and put your attention there. Now, once you've become aware of those questions I just asked, look within the situation. Look at that location you're in right now. Look within the situation you were experiencing and locate a little shiny particle that was left behind. Could be a shiny little star, could be a little coin, a golden coin. Locate the shiny soul fragment or energetic wave that you left behind that was stuck there and has caused you to be stuck in that situation. bring that fragment back into the present. So walk the timeline now, holding that fragment in your hand. Express gratitude for the experience. And now bring it with you into the present. Walk that timeline into the present. And now become aware of your higher self with you. And maybe you have a spiritual guide or teacher or angel. And while they're there with you, take that soul fragment that you removed from that past and place it into your heart center. And breathe it back into your heart center. Sing it back into your heart center with your sacred word or mantra. And see it enter in light, a ray of light into your heart center. And feel yourself become whole. Feel a sense of greater wholeness because of that. Just take a moment. Really embrace this experience. Okay. I'm going to ask you to open your eyes and bring yourself back to the present. And we're going to have a little journaling exercise here. So I'm going to ask you several questions, and if you would quickly jot down some quick answers. First question. What moments did you revisit that were most important? What was that most important moment that you stopped at and had great significance and actually held a fragment of your soul there? What was the moment? Second question. What soul contract with that person, place, or event or experience was revealed to you, either then or right now as you're writing the answer? What was revealed to you? Next question. What soul fragment or energy did you reclaim? Did you free from that experience and reclaim it for yourself as soul? And the last question, what did you experience once you reintegrated that soul fragment back into your whole self? What's the experience you had? How did it affect you? How did it change you? Quick answer to it. Don't overthink it. And again, you'll be able to go back on my Facebook page, watch this again, and repeat the exercise, or maybe you didn't catch all of the, didn't catch it in your notes. That's okay. You can go back in Facebook. Also, it will be on Wednesday. It will appear on my YouTube channel at MikeDeLucaPodcast.com, and you'll be able to watch this over and over again. Okay, so done that part. We're going to move into part 3. And this is renegotiating contracts for healing and empowerment. Yes, soul contracts between two individuals or about our interaction with a particular circumstance or experience. These can be renegotiated based on what we are learning from it and by putting more conscious attention to it and working with the divine and with our guidance and our higher self. These contracts evolve as our state of consciousness evolves. And actually, some of them grow into bigger contracts, some of them shrink and disappear, so they're no longer necessary, or we get all kinds of new ones. The learning never ends. The fun never ends. The learning never ends, right? Outdated contracts can be either updated, renegotiated, or dissolved, right? We have conscious choice and participation in the creation of these contracts and in the renegotiation of these contracts, or we can have a mutual discussion and renegotiation with people involved with contracts and decide, hey, we're going to change it, update it, renegotiate, or we're done. We no longer need to be involved in this contract because we've learned what we need to learn. We've helped each other. And let's say thank you very much, and let's move on with love and gratitude and create a different opportunity for learning that moves us forward. Okay. So we can release the roles, the patterns, and the agreements that no longer serve you. We can release those. Okay. Also, it's important to know that as soul, we are empowered by our Creator. We have the creative talent, energy, and process that we can reframe contracts and experiences so that we are not forever bound by our past. We are eternally empowered by our expanded awareness and state of consciousness to where, as we become more aware and more conscious and develop a stronger relationship of communication and learning and serving with higher beings, with the spirit of life itself, we can actually work out some of these contracts in the physical, in the dream state, in visits into higher realms and dimensions. So we have the ability and the empowerment to not be a prisoner or a victim of any one contract. We can work to reframe, renegotiate, and always have the opportunity to turn any situation into an opportunity of learning and growth. Okay. And in line with this, it's important to recognize that soul contracts can be created for us to heal. Yeah. And could anyone who's not muted, could you please mute yourself? Okay. So Soul contracts can neutralize negative experiences that can imprison parts of soul in fear, guilt, or anger. Soul contracts can end patterns of avoidance, avoiding a particular contract of growth or maturity through addictions that can delay the healing. So we can actually work with contracts with our higher self, with higher powers that are here to help us, and find ways to exit out of situations where we are avoiding moving forward through holding on to a pattern of addiction that's delaying our progress and healing. Soul contracts can be conscious healing to help us reclaim energies that fulfill soul's contracts. And also, through soul contracts and through the help of our higher self, higher beings, teachers, guides, angels, protectors, we can work to face soul contracts to remove etheric implants. These are energy patterns that have entered into our consciousness, and they are causing us to get into a loop. They're interfering with our ability to move forward. And from time to time, there are parasitic entities that may block our growth. We can create contracts to remove those implants and blockages. Okay? Okay, just take a second here. Stop for a minute. See how everyone's doing. Just want to take a quick roll call here. There we go. It's good to know who's here. Okay, we're moving on. All right. It's funny when I exit out of the share, for some reason it causes the PowerPoint to go backwards. Okay. Here we go. Okay, ready for another exercise? Yes or yes? Okay, this is the final exercise of our workshop, and then we're going to have an opportunity for discussion and sharing experiences and questions. So this is sort of carrying through the exercises we've done tonight. And the purpose is to help you consciously shift your energetic agreements, these energetic soul contracts, to give you the opportunity to update or release an outdated contract. So, during tonight's workshop, you've become aware of a number of soul contracts that have popped up. And you probably have become aware of a few that you might want to transform and renegotiate. So Let's take a moment and choose one sole contract that you become aware of, either, through tonight's workshop or through, the past few days, weeks, months, years, but a contract that you are really feeling like it's time to renegotiate or to transform or to bring into completion. So just contemplate for a moment and see which of these pops up into your consciousness. And then when you're ready, we'll move forward. Okay. I'm going to assume everybody has one. All right. So let's do some writing here. I'd like for you to write down first, what is the contract that you have chosen to renegotiate or change? Start with that. What was it? Next question. What did it teach you while you were going through your experiences within that contract? What was the learning you gained from it? And there might be a whole bunch of things that you gain from it. Whatever you can capture, go ahead, write it down. Next, why it is now complete. Why is it complete now or ready to resolve into something else? Why do you feel that sense now that it's time to complete it or renegotiate it or resolve it in some other way? What signals are you getting there? And now write down, what new agreement would you choose now instead of the old agreement? What would that look like? What would be in it? What are you attempting to gain from it? What are you attempting to give from it? And this is something I've always found in work and business situations where I was negotiating a contract or an agreement in some form. And also I found in relationships, the most important thing I've found is to first not only be clear about what is it that I need and want from the situation, then take the time to learn as deeply as possible, what does the other individual need and want? Then find out why that individual needs and wants it. and then have a dialogue about how could we create a win-win situation to where the needs that I have, which I have clearly shared with you, for me to enter into this contract and be able to benefit from it, I would need to experience this, this, and this. And in exchange, I'm willing to give this, this, and this. And then the other individual, what would you be willing to give to meet my needs? And then what needs of yours would you be willing to accept fulfilled based on what I am willing and capable of giving? And then we come to a win-win negotiation. And that's the basis of a new contract. So now you are empowered to update the contract. In other words, renegotiate the contract with the individuals involved, that sole contract. Release the contract if you feel, you know what, it's done, we're done, I'm done, I've gained what I need to, I'm detached from it, and I can let it go. Or rewrite it completely. Choose one of these things to do. Okay, now you made your choice. So take a few deep breaths. You can do that box breathing if you want. You can use your mantra or secret word or sacred word. Close your eyes and imagine this new contract, whether it's completely new, whether it's renegotiated, whether it's being stamped as resolved. Imagine the contract as a golden scroll or a unique symbol or even an energy wave vibrating in the air. See it clearly. Invite your higher self, that all-knowing, all-present, all-powerful part of you that is divine and created by the divine. Invite your teachers and guides, angels, to be present in this moment, to witness the transformation of this contract and your experiences. And then ask them with yourself, ask them to participate in the dissolving, rewriting, or upgrading of the contract, and see them working with you to make the changes in the contract, both physically and energetically, so that the new contract has its place in reality. And that is one in which there is mutual benefit for all involved. And the wisdom, the love, and the freedom that you receive from it benefits all of life. Take the time to see that and be that. Then finally, seal the contract with your signature. Breathe upon it with your breath. Shine the light of you as soul into it. Send the vibration of you as soul into it. And send your intention to fulfill the contract for the good of all involved. Now become aware of what has shifted inside of you when you chose this new agreement for your life. Okay, when you've really deeply connected with it, celebrate it with your higher self. Celebrate it with all connected. Your inner guides, your teachers, angels. And know that you will have their help and guidance in fulfilling this contract for your good and the good of all involved. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Let's return to the workshop. Okay, welcome back. How was that? Was it good? Was it Was it not good? Did you fall asleep? Getting a lot of thumbs up. Thank you. Thank
It was awesome, Mike. I just wanted to let you know that.
Oh, thank you so much.
Let me just change this virtual background. Yes. I just wanted to say that the whole process from start to finish really highlighted for me a particular soul contract that has been difficult. It's been good, but difficult. There's been a lot of difficult parts to it. But from the start, from where you had us go through our life and stop to say, where did something start? I recognized the start of something within me, which I carried throughout my whole life. And then looking at the contract with this one person, how that one person has helped me continue on with something that I don't need anymore. And it's interesting because I have been working with my inner guides to change this contract, but the workshop has helped me really kind of see it more clearly, where I can actually really understand what's happening and how to change it. So anyway, I just thought the workshop was great.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you for being here. And just what you shared is also a gift to everyone else who's attended, because your viewpoint about how you worked with the situation is something that other people can recognize as well. So, and you validated this whole experience, and I appreciate that validation. So thank you. And keep doing it. And we have some homework before we leave, but I just wanted to hear from you all that care to share. We have a few minutes to have some sharing, and then I'm going to give you some homework because this is a big thing, and it requires time and attention and effort. So thank you very much. Okay, who else has a golden hand up?
I want to say that
Valentina.
in my life, I know I fulfilled 6 contracts.
Wow.
I know them, and I know that I fulfilled them. The knowledge is complete. But the one that I felt yet pain with is my daughter, the first daughter that died at 19 from lupus. And there was still pain. When my son translated 2 years ago, I knew and I was okay with that because we met with, when you unfold, you know more.
Mm-hmm.
But with my daughter, I still had pain. So when you said that I left a piece of my soul and I knew where I left it. So when I collected it, and it's such a fulfilling and relieving feeling that I'm very, very grateful.
Well,
I know, in this lifetime, I took not 1 life, but 3 lives. I agreed to fulfill all no matter how painful, no matter how painful, it doesn't matter. I was always very grateful to fulfill them. Yeah. And it's interesting thing with my son, husband passed away, and I say, whew, I fulfilled my contract there. It was very difficult. And my son says to me, Mom, enjoy your freedom now. Yeah,
you have earned it.
yeah.
Thank you, Valentina.
Can I say something?
Yes. Who am I speaking to?
Maria.
Maria.
Yes, I came in a little late because I just came in from out of town.
That's okay. You'll be able to watch the rest of this.
Yes, I'm excited. Well, mine was a little interesting because my parents are not here.
Yep.
They translated. So it was how it just came to me that it was that I needed to focus on. So it took me back all the way to 4 years old. The first part two, right? For it was when I was 4 years old. And I saw a lot of violence at 4 years old. And then I had no more memory. And so it was kind of interesting to see how was I going to do this. And so because you spoke about, like people here in physical, but I said, well, mine's is not physical, but let's see how this goes. Well, it just happened that, my inner guidance guided me with this. And so I just saw like two orbs, two gold, two orbs. And I said, okay, I've seen that before. So it could work with me. And my contract with my parents, it a lot of the stickiness of the situations were still hanging in there. And it was great that this is how it unfolded for me because I did not know details of why certain things, the way I was feeling about things, because it's like I blocked it all my life. And now that my mom is back and my granddaughter, um, it is beautiful to see that in this exercise that I brought me home. I brought from that 4 years old, I brought me back. And I don't know, I would not say that I had resentment because of what situations took place. Because of them, I am who I am today. I learned the do's and the don'ts without realizing that this was taking place. It became a freedom, and how when I released them, with my inner guidances guiding me, helping me clear it all out. I almost wanted to scream because it's almost like that energy just literally came out of my fingers. It was so powerful that it jerked my fingers. So it's like it moved on. Whatever took place as I was growing up, what I witnessed, whether I know or don't know, all that I gathered, and then they helped me release it out. Yes. So I'm eager to see how that soul that dwells in my granddaughter, how we're going to shape today, knowing that that stickiness has moved on, that it's over, it's done. Let's move on. Yeah. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And you can have those inner conversations with that
Mm-hmm.
soul and with the presence of your guides and her guides,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, and be proactive about
Yeah.
examining first the contract that's already in place, and
Mm-hmm.
also what new contracts you can create to help each other.
Right. Yes.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Mhm.
Wonderful. I'm so
Thank you.
glad you made it here, and I'm so glad that you received some benefit. And you'll be seeing the homework in a second, so we'll be carrying on this benefit here. But thank you, Maria.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else?
Jocelyn has her hand up.
Jocelyn.
Yeah, I found that workshop incredible. Incredible, I tell you. There was so much in there. Um, right at the beginning of the workshop, I was attracted by the idea of a past life that had been so consuming and so strong that I still was attached to it. And I just happened to find a book years ago that told me everything about that past life. And over time, I was able to recognize other character during that lifetime that showed up in my life. And lately, last year, many of these contracts came as we age. Many of these contracts came to an end. I was just wondering how I could finally close up on a past life that had been so how would I say that, so deeply ingrained in me for 1,000 years that I was still vibrating just reading about it again and seeing all these characters come back in my life and completing contracts with them. So tonight, I was wondering how to put an end to that, really, and almost get rid of the book once for all and say, mission accomplished. And it seems that there's a little last one that needs to be addressed. And I think you gave me tonight the tool to really do it in the best way possible I could too, so that the book ends on the best place that it can. Thank you very, very, very much. I never expected to get something like that tonight.
You're very welcome. And, all of you being here tonight is fulfilling a contract we made together a long time ago. And everything you've experienced between then and now, has led to not only your growth and unfoldment, but all of us who have agreed to come together for this experience. So thank you for all you've done over the years to get to this point, and for also showing up to fulfill your contract. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. I've got some homework for you. I try to provide as much value as possible when I do these workshops and I do the episodes of my podcast, because I'm really driven to try to serve at the highest level. I want to honor all of those beings who've taught me so much, who've helped me so much in surviving and thriving in this life, and learning and growing and developing tools to help others. So homework's a part of that. So let me go back to the PowerPoint for a sec. And homework is please consider continuing the process that you experienced in this workshop for at least the next 7 days in your meditations or contemplations, spiritual exercises, prayer. Journal what contracts you've discovered or what new contracts that you made, and what are the results of completing them or renegotiating them as you repeat that renegotiation ceremony process. And for those of you who journal on a regular basis, add this to your journaling. And for those of you who keep a monthly report, add that into your monthly report. What did you discover about contracts that you made in the past that you've become aware of and that you are in the process of, or asking help in negotiating, renegotiating, changing, or ending? Okay. Then finally, now that you're equipped with this, I invite you to revisit a podcast episode I did some months ago. It was called Finding Your Way to Serve All Life, Beyond Life and Death on the Inner and on the Outer. You can access this. I'm going to put it in the chat. Is the chat working? Can you see that? It's not working. You can't see that?
It's
Okay.
disabled.
Okay. All right. If you would go to, excuse me, if you would go to my podcast channel on YouTube, Mike DeLuca podcast.com, real simple, and look up Finding Your Way to Serve All Life, Beyond Life and Death. You'll see it. It's there. If you would do that, it sort of is the next step after this workshop is to look at the things in that workshop and the things you've received in this workshop and putting them together to create opportunities and contracts for you to take another step forward in serving all life, in serving yourself, and in serving the divine. And looking at, there's a process I have in there about how to look for certain things that you resonate with, that can help you in determining, how do I want to serve more right now in this life? And when this life is over, how do I want to continue to serve? So I invite you to take a look at that workshop. I will post on my Facebook page the link for that as well, but you'll find it very easily on MikeDeLucaPodcast.com. Real simple. I think I have that. Yeah, I have that here. You can copy that title, Finding Your Way to Serve All Life Beyond Life and Death on the Inner and Outer. That's the YouTube link, but if you just go to MikeDeLucaPodcast.com, you'll be able to find it. And again, this workshop, there's no cost to it. I don't charge for any of these workshops. I don't sell anything. But if you have received some value tonight from the workshop, take the time to really put the effort into getting the most out of what you've been given and use the tools. And then also, if you got something out of it, I invite you to go to MikeDeLucaPodcast.com and take a look at, over 125 videos there. See what what resonates for you. But if you've gotten some value from this tonight, and if you've attended podcasts in the past of mine or watched them, if you invite other people to go visit that YouTube channel and benefit from it, I would appreciate it. Don't sell anything on there. They don't have to commit to anything. They just go there and watch it, just like if you went on Netflix or anything else. If you take the time to share that podcast, I'd appreciate it. It helps me serve more people. It helps me fulfill my contract with the divine to attempt in a very small way to give back for all of the blessings, all of the love, all of the wisdom, all of the freedom that has been, and all of the grace that's been bestowed on me. It would help me take a small step in sharing that with others. So with that, you guys are great. We ended right on time. There was a lot of stuff here tonight. You're welcome to go and watch it again. But I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for the effort you put into the exercises we did. I want to thank you for your commitment to grow personally and spiritually, and your commitment to help others do the same. I thank you in advance for the contribution you are making in the world and will make in the world. And I wish you all the love, all the wisdom, all of the freedom, all of the growth, all of the unfoldment, all of the lessons, right, in the future. Wish them all to you. Know that I love you very much, as a fellow soul. And I care about you. And that's why I do these workshops. I do the podcast. I do what I do. There's no other alternative motive but to serve you. And hopefully you'll take some of the things you've been given and do some things with it. And with that, I will say good night. Have a great night.
Great, Mike. Thank you, thank you, thank
Thank
you.
you, Mike.
So
Thank
Wonderful.
you.
Great.
Thank you.
very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michael.
You are
Much
so,
you.
love to you.
so welcome. Really appreciate you being here. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Mike. Good
Yeah.
seeing you.
Great seeing
Gracias
you.
mille.
Have a
Good
good
night.
night.
Bye-bye.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Thanks for being here.